Okay, I think this is a informal, although I made a formal presentation that can be shared with you on the website, but it is informal in the sense that you can you hear me well? Yeah. So you can ask questions, especially questions that need immediate clarification or comment that you want to make. Then at the end, we can have much more discussion. So most important part of this whole thing is you should ask anything that it comes to your mind in terms of teaching, because I'm going to cover only teaching today. So later on some other time research, and in fact that is our main goal, to have both. So I don't look at you as just teachers or instructors. I look at you as a potential faculty members, which means you have to care about teaching, research, and service. So these are three components that are very important to you, and of course those are the three measures of evaluation when you go for tenure, promotion, and so on. But I'm not keeping those as reasons. I want you to be a good teacher no matter what that is the bottom line. So let me start with I was going to show that funny thing, but I'm not now. So okay, here it is. So first disclaimer, I need to say this. Apparently people can take this, the world is a little bit more legalistic, especially in the United States. Then you come and say, oh, you said all those and I did all those, they didn't give me tenure. Okay, so I want to just make a disclaimer here, because whatever I say is just coming from my interest to help you, and of course it is coming from many years of doing what I'm going to speak of, and there are many things that I may not be talking to you, but you should be asking. In fact, that brings right away immediately in, so I have to say this. Okay? So I have it in mind. I want to say it, but I may forget. Okay? So you have to ask me. All right? So it is not a, it's not a joke. I am at that age where I would be thinking, then few minutes later, what was I thinking? Okay? So this can happen. So, all right. Okay, first thing is that, why is it so slow? Oh, I see what's going on. So this, I want you to understand it. We are not one-dimensional people, right? We live in a world where we have to balance our acts in terms of managing time. So one of the most important thing is to pay attention to, I listed three there, right? Family, profession, and society. And in a given day, the order may be different. So I don't want you to think that I'm saying family is first and job is next and so on. That's not what I mean. All three are important. You balance as needed, and some days you may have crisis in one of those, so you have to attend to it. So that's the way we are. But most important thing is to balancing this act. You don't want to be one-dimensional, okay? And so you have to, you will be judged in every way people look at you, whether, of course, if you don't pay attention to your family, then you're not a good human being, right? So you have to take care of family for sure. So, and I want to be very upfront about that. Okay, so, and I'm going to basically talking about today teaching and education, and then I don't know in the coming weeks, if I am asked to do something, then I will talk about research that involves investigation and study, determination of results, and sponsorship. All of these are elements of research that are evaluated in a environment. So, all right, so, went back. And third, of course, is professional service. And even that I will discuss at some point in the future. But today I'm going to limit my discussion to teaching and education. Okay. So And I think, few times, I think even Arun and I talked about really when we use these words, teaching. So main thing is that facilitating learning, it comes first, most important and upfront. So when you go into a classroom, you need to think more in terms of how best I can present material that facilitates their learning, understanding, okay? The other thing is imparting knowledge and skills. So that involves, of course, creative thinking. See, there are no formulas. This is the first thing I would say. There are no formula. And each individual recipient is different, right? It depends upon their own intelligence and interest, all of these. So what we have to do to help, and help everyone that's in the classroom. So that is what teaching is about. So now I'm going to list a few things. These are the bullets. So, and this is, I tell every young faculty member that I meet, not just only here, anywhere I travel, people come and talk to me. I say you have to be interested and passionate. So this is not for getting tenure. You should not be here or being at an institution of higher learning unless you are interested in teaching also. So you're not coming here to do research. You are going to do more than that, right? In fact, I would say primary reason or primary objective or mission of a university is teaching in a broader sense of the word, okay? So you have to be passionate about it. You should think about this in terms of your time. How many hours you have? 24 hours in a day. So how many hours you sleep? Let's say 8 hours, okay, to be safe side. Like a baby, okay? Then you remaining hours, right? 16 hours. And you are at work anywhere between 8 to 12. Okay, it depends. This is not uncommon. In industry, it may be different, but it does happen. Sometimes you come at 7 and then you don't go home till 8 in the evening, right? So 8 hours for sleeping, nearly 10 hours, say, for work. And then there are, these remaining hours, I don't know, of course you have to eat and go to bathroom, right? All of those. So the most time of the day you spend at work and you want it to be enjoyable, right? Enjoyable means you should feel good about it, looking forward to the day, doing things that you're really passionate about, right? So in terms of time management, so if you are not passionate, it looks like, I have to go to the class at so-and-so time, and then I come back and do my research. See, that's not what it is. So it is really, you have to be interested for sure. And I'm going to repeat that you should not be here unless you are interested in teaching. Okay? So then what is it that you need to do? Well, you remember this, when I use this word passionate. Now, passion comes, of course, sometimes it may be there naturally, but sometimes you derive it by being in that thing, being a teacher. So the passion may come, or maybe you develop more and more, right? So, but that you probably has to be conscious of it. It doesn't come by itself unless you start feeling good about doing things, okay? So, and you have to be interested in students learning the material that you teach. So that means you have to present the material in a way they can understand. So one of the common mistakes most people make is they always look at a typical element of the class as a representative of yourself, right? Well, there are good and bad about that, okay? Looking at them as just like you in terms of giving them the respect, treating them with same way you would teach another colleague in the department, those are good. But in terms of expecting them to be like you in terms of intelligence and level of understanding, it's not right, because you are a special person. You have completed PhD and you were chosen to be a faculty member. Not everybody gets the job, right? So you are a very special person. So you're not an average person. That's what I meant to say. So you should not look at the class and that everybody is like you. So don't teach at a level that only people of your caliber can understand. So that is not important, not right thing to do. You have to gauge, and each time you teach a class, it's different because it's a different group of people. So you have to make sure that the bottom half is also getting a lot more. I mean, in terms of intelligence, when I say bottom half, people learn things. Some people learn slowly. It may not be related to intelligence alone. Grasping things may take time. So you have to make sure that you are not aiming at the high. You have to aim low so that everyone in the classroom can benefit from your teaching. Okay, the other thing that you do, this is probably somebody like Tim Jacobs will send you an email saying these things. But you have to be conscious of, it's not just a fulfilling some requirement. You say things that you mean it. Okay? And the handout that you give very first day must explain exactly your policies. And you should not change these policies just because somebody comes and begs you. Then you have to remember one thing. You may be kind to somebody, but in the process you are not kind to others. Fairness is important. Somebody says, oh, I overslept and I'm late to the exam. Can you give a makeup? Or then say, oh, I'm not feeling well. Oh yeah, that is excusable provided they bring a medical certificate or statement. Okay? But if those excuses you cannot take and give another test, or somebody makes very low score on the test and they want to come and say, oh, I know better. I don't know why I did this bad. So can you give me another chance? Well, there is somebody who got a B score, but he or she wants to make A score. Why don't we give them also A makeup, right? So there is no end to this. So you have to be very strict. He said, I'm sorry, I cannot. Okay? I mean, by the way, I also tend to be a little philosophical when I say these things. See, we are in a mass testing mode. Not everybody is same, right? Then no two people are same. But yet we give these tests as if everybody is same. And we treat them everybody same. But that's the way it is. We cannot give individual tests according to their speed of understanding and writing, all those. We don't, right? So we may accommodate in a broader sense. If it takes you to complete the test in 30 minutes, you may give them 1 hour. That is where you accommodate different speeds. But that's all you can do. You cannot be, unless there are university rules for certain people. They are in that program. I don't remember, what is the name for that? Some kind of physically handicapped or some.
You're talking about the disabilities.
Yeah, disabilities. Then you will get a notice, and it's formally administered. They will be given much more time to complete. So, but other than that, normal people, you don't entertain these thoughts of giving special time, special consideration, special test. See, they are like babies. I mean, I don't know how many some of you are not even married, so you will know that. So they can manipulate. Okay, even with the good-natured people can manipulate because they know what they want, right? That's what the kids do. So if you one time you yield, then they utilize that again. So it is not a good idea to change any of those policies during the semester that you are teaching. Okay, you must stick to your guns. Okay, so I don't think I need to say too much more here, but you must be very clear about what is the percentage of homework, tests, and other projects you have in that course go toward the final grade. So it's because if you keep changing in the middle of it, then some people will get upset. Okay, but it is also not right thing. Why would you change in the middle of the semester? So you have to put some thinking into it before you. Of course, you learn a lot of things by doing once. Okay, so this is again we are human beings. Sometimes we make mistakes. So, but admitting them is important, more important than trying to tell them or kind of mislead them with your other comments. So it is important to that be very genuine in your relationship with the students. Okay. So the next thing that I want to tell you about is the preparation. See, many of you, and well, if you are very young and teaching first time, I know you will put enough effort. But even if you had taught it several times, it is very important that you prepare. The minimum you have to do is to organize the thoughts. What I'm going to do today in the class. Right? So you don't go to the classroom while erasing the board, you think, well, this is what I'm going to do. See, that's not, you have to spend enough time. If you can, night before even. Okay? So the planning is very important, and then executing. So if you have really make a practice of walking into the class and the corner of the board, you say, these are the 3 things I'm going to do today. That would be even better. Okay? So I'll cover these 3 things, and if I don't get to this third or something, I will do it tomorrow or next time. But if you say that, then it shows that you're organized about what you're going to do. Right? See, students are very perceptive. One thing, don't forget that. They actually know a lot more about you than yourself, about your teaching. And they communicate to the other people. So when somebody offers a course, whether there are large number of people or less number of people, depends upon how popular or the perception of the students is about this instructor. So never underestimate their ability to figure you out. But that is not what you are focusing on. You're truly interested in helping them or facilitating their learning. So in that process, you need to do certain things and stick to the rules. So what I'm saying here is preparation. You must prepare your lectures, every lecture and every time you give it. Okay? The other thing, so I don't need to walk here actually. So, oh, we went too far, huh? Okay. Okay. So then, this now I'm getting into a little bit technical here. A lot of things people understand, especially engineering type students, they are not tend to be abstract. See, mathematics students are slightly different. So mathematics starts with abstract things and then they specialize. Whereas engineering is a building block. You go from simple things and slowly increase the complexity, make them more abstract. So that is how most of the engineering minds work. So what I'm saying is when you teach, like mechanics and materials, okay, engineering 305, is that right? Okay. So you can say things like when you say bar, and most people, even a person on the street will know what a bar is. But engineering sense of that word is quite clear. It is a member that only takes forces along the length of the member, okay, right? So the people on the street, they think a bar and beam is the same. That, physically it looks the same. But when you explain to the class, bending is what makes the definition of that component as a beam, right? So, but then you also say, suppose you're talking about the tensile forces in a member, right? Then you can say, do you know where such thing happens? See, one of the most common thing is this tie rod that is used to pull the aircraft to the gate or push the aircraft out, right? That's a very simple example. So you can even make them think, so when it is bringing the aircraft to the gate, what are the forces in that member? They are going to be axial but tensile, right? And then when it has to push, the forces are compressive. But then you also have to make them think, are they same in terms of design? Okay, right? So we are talking about a slender member that is subjected to compressive load. And then you bring this again common sense thing. You take a straw that you drink Coke or something and think of pressing, right? Okay, so what happens to it? So everybody will say, oh, it will buckle, right? So what I'm saying is bringing common sense examples to make them understand. It will stick in their mind much more. So it's not writing equations and formulas and then plug and chug. That will happen, okay? But you making it understandable physically. The meaning of these things, concepts, is most important, okay? All right, so be open and fair in your evaluation. So this is when I say the word fairness is to not change the rules for sure. And whatever you do for the whole class that's what you apply to each student. So you don't treat, see, we are human beings. Sometimes, one student keeps coming to your room, office, talking about a lot of things, okay? I mean, in addition to, and then you tend to develop some kind of relationship in the sense familiarity, and then makes you think that this student is good, or he or she might praise you even, okay? This is one of the problems. But we have to remain above this, because what you grade is what is on the paper. You don't use any extraneous information about the person. So even if they say, I knew it, but I didn't do it. Sorry, we only grade what is on the paper, right? Okay, so I think fairness is very important fairness is important in life, for sure. But I'm saying you must pay attention to this in your evaluation of the students. Allow sufficient time for questions and office visits. Okay, there are two parts to it. Questions in the classroom. It depends on the size, but if it's a very large size, I think have some help sessions too, right? So, and if there are none, you should plan some. See, I'm teaching finite elements. It's a graduate course, but I also have help sessions. Because sometimes, you're not able to answer or address everything in a detailed fashion. So these help sessions, which are optional, they're not required to come. But when you make it, the students who need help, they will come. And then I also have office hours listed on the website, but again, this is my personal policy. My door is always open. They can come anytime. Believe it or not, invariably, they always come lunchtime. So if I'm there, I don't say no. I will. Okay, but by the way, that is a personal thing. I'm not saying you should follow the same, but it is important to have enough hours of office time so that you take care of their doubts. So everybody is different. Okay, some people are shy, don't ask questions in the class. So they may want to come and talk to you in the office. Okay, or sometimes it's not a shyness, but it is something of uncomfortable. If I ask this question, the other fellow students may think that I'm dumb. See, there is this, all of these are there, part of, because human beings. So there is no such thing. Never ever say, oh, that is a silly question or a dumb question. Never. You never say those things, okay? Because, by the way, we are also, with all this knowledge, we are pretty dumb in some other aspects, right? So we are not all intelligent, okay, in every way. So we should not treat anybody, subhuman being, never. I mean, in any context of your life. So, in fact, I will say that a little later again. So it is important to address with patience, even when it is an upsetting question. I mean, okay, we are all, of course, made of biochemical makeup, right? So we have emotions. So sometimes people, the individuals are different. They may ask same question, somebody may ask very politely, somebody may ask in an accusational way. You don't get upset. Oh, it looks like I didn't make it clear. Okay, even sound a little bit apologetic, it's okay. You don't lose anything, okay? So it's important to be kind and at the same time definitely interested in helping them understand. Okay, so the office visits are, again, you must pay attention to. I'm not sure if there is a formula. Is there a formula in terms of if 3-hour credit course, you must have 3 hours of office hours? Probably not, okay? So, but again, if you have that interest, And when I talk about research, I may say a few words, but now I will say you must develop this parallel processing capability. What I'm saying is a student comes, I ask questions, you take care of that. You go back to what you were doing in research immediately. This is something you must develop. If you don't, you're going to be very inefficient. Oh, I have these office hours, would be watching some video or browsing something because I'm waiting for these students. No, that's not how you work. Every minute you utilize in a productive way. See, if you're passionate about both research and teaching, you never do anything other than take care of the business in one and switch to the other. But this ability you have to develop. It doesn't come always naturally. Okay, so ability to switch gears is very, very important for your efficiency. Okay. And then in between you have other things. You may get a call from home. Something needs to be taken care. Or department head calls and says something. Okay, can you give this? So what I'm saying is we are always constantly involved with multiple things. So you have to have that ability to take care of as needed. So the priorities switch, but you're always focused about professional goals of teaching and research. These two, of course, service is a component that is there, but these two are more important than the service. So you must always give enough time for those two. Never shortcut. I mean, if you do that, what happens is then it will show up. See, some days, I can tell you, I went through the same path as all of you did. As an assistant professor. Some days I come out of the class, oh, that was terrible. I did a very bad job today. I mean, I feel it, you know. So, and that should make you prepare better next time. So never underestimate the importance of preparing. You know, there was an advertisement, Holiday Inn or something. You know, if you didn't sleep enough, how bad next day your presentation would be, right? So it's the same thing. You know, it's not a question of sleeping, but preparing for it. Okay, of course, you should have enough sleep too. Okay, so it's important. And then discourage and avoid giving makeups. This I already addressed, right? So if there is absolutely for some reason you have to give a makeup with a due reason, the reason has to be more formal, a certificate from the doctor or whatever. Okay, so and if there are extraneous circumstances where there is no certificate but you have to give it, then you have to. Okay, again, see, it's not, I'm not saying you should be such a rigid person that you don't do in somebody, you know, for example, sometimes mother or father dies multiple times. That's a different issue. Okay, so you don't. So, I mean, you don't want to use those. I mean, you don't say, is that true? You don't say that, oh, I'm sorry. You have to say that, I am sorry to know. See, you have to show your true interest in people too. So you don't think of suspecting the person, that this person is lying. That's the wrong thing to do, okay? Unless you have a real proof. So, okay. This is a very important thing in my opinion. See, a lot of times we think we can give help, and sometimes, you know, this tenure promotion thing, it's a bad thing, I'm sorry. But it makes you think that I have to get very high praise or points or rating in my teaching. So what do, you tend to be very kind, nice, in an unusual way, in an artificial way, and try to give easy exams, easy grades. That's not the intent of, you know, true, good, effective teaching. Like I said, you should be interested in facilitating learning. Okay, that's for sure. But if you start being too nice in giving everything, and the student stops thinking, because, oh, this teacher is going to tell me or going to help me. Well, they don't get that help once they graduate. They are going to be competing in a very harsh environment. You know, once you go out. Your mother doesn't help you. Sorry, I brought mother, but because it happens with undergraduate students, mother may call the department head saying that, oh, your instructor is not teaching well. Okay, right? These, you know, Aggie mothers are very Tough. But she cannot call the manager in a company that, oh, you're not treating my son. Oh, so okay, you want me to release him? So we never should make them parasites. We never should make them depend on us so much to the extent of they stop thinking in terms of solving a problem or understanding something. So you help as much, but there is a limit. Okay? So you need to know that limit. Otherwise, it is really not a good teaching, because you are preparing people who are not going to think much. They are always looking for help from somebody. So that is not a good idea. Okay, so this I prepared, this slide probably was not there in the old one. So knowledge is understanding of something. Most often in engineering context, about the facts. The facts, so information related to the subject, descriptions, or skills to attack the problem or make the formulation. See, two things that are very important in engineering is formulating the problem. See, most courses don't teach that, actually. You know that? I mean, see, you are not going to be given a peeled banana to eat in real world. You have to know, first of all, is it a banana? Right? Then you need to know where do you start peeling from. So what I'm saying is identifying the problem to be solved. Nobody is going to give you nice, simply supported beam with uniformly distributed load. No, that's not how problems are presented in real world. So you have to develop this kind of attitude or understanding of the problem. And then what is the goal of my study? Consistent with that goal, you will look at a mathematical model of that problem, right? So it is important to understand that kind of thing, which is very important. I mean, those skills come by the way you teach, okay? So you don't make them everything that they need to know. You help them with that, then they won't, start thinking at all. So, and of course, perceiving, discovering, and learning, all of these integral part of our engineering profession. And those things come, you help them do those things. And once they become more proficient with all these, then they become good engineers. Okay, so this I already said, students, you must treat them like your colleague. Of course, there are people who treat their colleagues bad. Okay, that's not what I mean. Okay, so when I said that, I'm expecting every one of you to be a good colleague, and you treat the students with the same way that you treat a colleague good, right? So because they're human beings. This is even person on the street we should treat with the due respect, right? Independent of their attire or a job, whatever it is. So that I think is a given, and we don't judge people by their looks. We should not. Okay, this is another thing. Okay, now of course you are in that mode. We are helping you, like Dr. Srinivasa and Dr. Polikarpo is doing some of this, preparing you for your profession. But when you become a faculty member, you should try to do the same to your group. Teach them in a way. Okay, depends at what point it comes. They don't come from day one. Once they become a little bit seniors, you need to bring them into teaching. This is exactly what these fellows are, teaching fellows are. And investigation, proposal writing. See, we write proposals all the time. So if we have a PhD student who is advanced already, like Bruno here. So Bruno will help when Yanni is going to prepare a proposal. Bruno will help in his own way and a rough draft, okay, or components thereof. Then you as a faculty member who is a PI will modify, revise, whatever that is. But in the process, the student is learning to write proposal, because that's what they have to do when they become a faculty member, right? So that has to somehow start early on. You don't start after you graduate, or because that's what happens. By the way, even when you do postdoctoralship, some of the faculty members, they just use you to just do some work, write papers. But I think If you happen to have a postdoctoral fellow, then you are even more obligated to prepare them if their intent is to go to university, faculty jobs. Well, most postdocs, they have that intent. They don't come to do postdoctoralship, they have to go to industry. That's very rare, right? So that means they are interested in going to academic side, so that is a time you can give them a little bit more help to prepare themselves to become faculty members. Okay, so, and this is where, again, role model means role model as a teacher, researcher, and service person. Service the profession, okay? So, by the way, service can be very broad, and I maybe when time comes we can talk about it, because professional service is what we have in mind. But you can also serve the people, you know. I mean, suppose you, every weekend you drive a van to take older people to buy their groceries, okay? You don't put that on the resume, right? I mean, I won't put it. You do it because you feel that you owe to the society, or you feel just want to be happy. See, this feeling happiness comes in many ways. That may be one of those things. That is also service, which we don't talk about in the form of putting on a resume. So, but most of the service things that we evaluate, or all of them, relate to serving the profession, serving the university, serving the department. These are all professional aspects. All right, so now I want to give you, this is another side of it. You know, you get a chance to read this, okay? So why I'm putting these examples? You know, many of us come from foreign lands. But it's not just being foreign lands. Even with the native people, if they don't prepare their exams in a proper way. See, this is very important. You have to take time to read, and if possible, maybe ask your spouse to read. Okay, just to see, does it make sense? Did I say right way to get the attention and understanding of the person who is taking the exam, understands what I'm saying? See, this is important. Okay, so this is a skill that you have to develop, right? And so, and this person, of course, is trying to pull your legs here, he or she. So, I mean, that is expansion, right? Okay.
Technically, you have to give points for that.
Right.
Because
in fact, the person can go to a lawyer. You know, this is the legal aspect of it. You just say expand. If you say a little bit more cleverly in a technical thing that you are trying to ask the student to do, then it will help. If you just see, this is the thing, familiarity makes you think that everybody knows what you think is. So that's not enough. You have to make sure your preparation of questions are very clear to them. Okay, nobody is perfect, okay? We still, I always say, we all have, even after 40 years of experience, I have still room to learn, okay, and get better. But I also, there is a lower bound also, I say it could be worse. Okay. So anytime you get into difficult situations, I will never make it, or I'm, you know, it could have been worse. Okay. So that gives you extra ammunition to be positive about life, because it could be worse. When you think economy is bottomed, and then it is going, bottom is what is zero, but it can go to negative. Yeah. So things happen in life that you don't always, you know, say negative about it, because it could be always worse. So this, I have several examples here. Look at this, read. I mean, so I'm going to help you. Okay, I'll put that. So I wrote, so it says, so the question was describe this graph. So describe the graph, okay? So you didn't say exactly what aspects of it or what it is, right? So the person is, oh, it is curvy, which is higher a bit at the end and rather aesthetically pleasing slope downward. Okay, again, like Arun says, you may have to give points because he described. It's a description, right? Okay? So look at that. The graph itself consists of two straight lines meeting at one lower left corner. origin of the coordinate system. But the person is pretty nice, wrote it very nicely. I mean, he or she should have been in English, okay? So, but it is, okay, now this is another one interesting. And it's a question in dynamics course, okay? Of course, these kinds of things can happen. If I'm traveling at 100 feet, we tend to think that we are giving a very practical question to the students, right? 100 feet per second in a car and the speed limit is 65 miles per hour. Am I speeding? How far I will travel to the nearest mile in 3 hours at this rate of speed? Okay? It looks very nice, he told everything, but there are always people who don't know how to solve it. And they find ways to answer that question. But he's right. I mean, you thought he gave a practical question. He said there is a speedometer, right? So that is the purpose of it. So why you? Okay, I'm sorry. By the way, these are taken from real tests. Okay. These are not cooked up. Okay.
But they are not Aggies, though. I don't think.
Yeah, Aggies don't use those letter words, right? Okay. Okay. No, but you get the message. Okay. So it is important to prepare your tests such a way. Of course, you always know there is no 100% exact way to, explain or write these statements. Okay. So here is another one.
Oh.
And explain why the concentration of sulfate ions increases in electrolyte. This is some chemistry thing. Okay. Okay, so I think one last one, I guess. So this is our problem. See, look at the word. So you said name an angle complementary to BDC, not complementary. So this guy says, you look much thinner over here.
That is complimentary.
Right. So you should be given 100%, right? So,
Creativity, actually.
yeah, it is creativity. Oh, about creativity, I have one too. All right, so I think this I will talk a little later. So since he brought up, I'm going to skip this. Okay, and then I stop. Okay, here it is. I had this reserved for this. So this is creativity. Remember, 8 over 0 is infinity. And then you ask the student, what about 5 over 0? Right. So if you give that to a kid, very young, like 4-year-old or 6-year-old, if they did that, that is creativity. Their brain is working, right? Because they saw some structure, right? They saw structure. This is creativity. So when we say mimicking biological systems or nature, right? Inspired. Well, the thing is, a lot of things you can look at in a wrong way in nature, right? So, right? So it is important. Creativity doesn't mean, you have to do. See, for everything there is a creativity. In sweeping the floors there is a creativity. Okay, so doing things creatively means you need to understand what it is, and then having interest in it. Okay. So anyway, I meant to stop a few slides back when Arun mentioned the word creativity. I just thought about this. Okay. All right. Thank you. And now you can grab sandwiches and then start asking questions. Is that okay?